For centuries, the sea has been the domain of massive ships, the floating fortresses of nations. These vessels, symbols of power and projection, have shaped history and dictated the flow of global events. And bigger guns, the ultimate arbiters of maritime disputes. The size of your cannons often determine the extent of your influence. Simple rules, predictable outcomes. Naval warfare was a game of calculated moves, formations, and firepower. Strategy was paramount, and the victor was often the one with the superior fleet and tactical acumen. But now something new is emerging, something that threatens to upend this established order. A new paradigm is taking shape. In the South China Sea, a region already fraught with tension and geopolitical maneuvering. A shadow lurking beneath the surface. A hint of something powerful and unknown. A technological monster reborn. A concept resurrected from the annals of forgotten military experiments. It's not a ship in the traditional sense. It defies categorization. Not a plane, though it possesses the ability to take to the skies, albeit briefly, but a hybrid, a fusion of naval and aerial technology. Skimming just above the waves, exploiting ground effect to achieve incredible speeds, nearly invisible to radar, a ghost on the water, difficult to detect and track. Imagine being on a US carrier, the pride of the American fleet, a symbol of naval might. When a blip appears, an anomaly on the radar screen, defying conventional identification. Moving too fast for a ship, outpacing even the swiftest naval vessels. Too low for a plane, hugging the water's surface, evading detection. Suddenly a colossal, winged beast roars in, appearing out of nowhere, a terrifying spectacle. Loaded with missiles, a formidable arsenal ready to unleash its destructive power. This isn't science fiction. This is not a scene from a futuristic movie. It's the nightmare haunting Pentagon war rooms, the subject of countless simulations and strategic discussions. The Soviets called it the Ekranoplan, a name that evokes both awe and apprehension. A machine that flew in the sweet spot between sea and sky, a unique blend of aerodynamic and hydrodynamic principles. With the speed of an aircraft, capable of traversing vast distances in a fraction of the time it would take a conventional ship. And the payload of a ship, able to carry massive amounts of cargo or weaponry. Now China is building its own, investing heavily in this unconventional technology. The implications enormous, far-reaching and potentially game-changing. This isn't just a new weapon, it's more than just another addition to the military arsenal. It's a rewrite of naval warfare's rulebook, forcing a re-evaluation of existing strategies and doctrines. The balance of power at sea is shifting subtly but surely as this new technology gains traction. A new player has entered, challenging the established order and disrupting the status quo, holding a card unseen for decades, a wild card that could reshape the future of naval warfare. The ocean is no longer a chessboard with predictable moves and calculated strategies. It's becoming a fast, unpredictable arena, where speed and stealth are the new keys to victory. The world is watching, breath held, as this new chapter in naval history unfolds. The monster is back, and the game has changed forever. The Ekranoplan, a machine so bizarre it earned the nickname Caspian Sea Monster, was the Soviets' most audacious and perhaps wildest military experiment during the Cold War era. It was a project shrouded in secrecy, pushing the boundaries of aviation technology. Imagine a 500-ton machine, a behemoth of engineering, longer than a football field, with oddly stubby wings and an array of powerful jet engines. A true marvel of Soviet ingenuity. It didn't soar into the sky like a conventional aircraft. Instead, it skimmed, riding a cushion of air generated by its wings, just a few meters above the water's surface. This was known as ground effect. This ground effect allowed it to fly under the radar's gaze, and it was too fast for sonar to effectively track, making it a ghost, a phantom on the battlefield. A nightmare for any naval commander. The Lun-class Ekranoplan was the most infamous of these creations. Armed to the teeth with 6 massive anti-ship missiles specifically designed to cripple or even outright destroy aircraft carriers. It could cripple an entire fleet, scattering ships and sowing chaos before anyone even knew what hit them, delivering a devastating surprise attack. But the Soviet Union, as all things do, eventually collapsed, and these once feared monsters rusted away in forgotten docks, dismissed as being far too expensive to maintain and far too complex to operate effectively. The world's navies breathed a collective sigh of relief and relaxed their guard. The threat, it seemed, was finally gone for good. or so they thought, lulled into a false sense of security. Because brilliant and often terrifying ideas for weapons of war never truly die, they simply lie dormant. They just wait patiently for someone with the will, the resources, and of course the money to resurrect them, to dust off the old blueprints and bring them roaring back to life. And that someone, increasingly, appears to be China. Enter China, a nation hungry for maritime dominance. While others scrapped old warships, China dusted off Soviet blueprints and started building. Today, they're not just experimenting, they're mass-producing next-gen Ekranoplans. These new machines are lighter, faster and smarter, packed with modern tech and built for the South China Sea. Perfect for rapid troop deployment, missile strikes and outmaneuvering traditional navies. China's not stopping at prototypes, they're planning fleets. Imagine squadrons of these sea-skimming dragons able to strike anywhere in the Pacific. Amphibious assaults, anti-ship missions, rapid response. China is rewriting the playbook. The dragon is growing new, sharper teeth, and the world is taking notice. The US Navy's power, its ability to project force across the globe, rests heavily on its carrier strike groups. These are the cornerstones of American naval dominance. These are floating fortresses, bristling with advanced weaponry and protected by multiple layers of steel and cutting-edge technology. They represent a significant investment in naval power, but all that sophisticated defense, all that impressive firepower, fundamentally assumes one thing. You see the enemy coming, that you can detect the threat on the horizon before it's too late to react. The Ekranoplan, however, shatters that assumption, challenging the very foundation of naval defense. Its low, fast approach, skimming just above the water's surface, effectively hides it from radar until it's already well within missile range, a ghost on the sea. It could strike with devastating speed and vanish just as quickly before US jets even have time to launch a counterattack, leaving devastation in its wake. This isn't just a tactical headache for naval strategists. It's a strategic nightmare, a potential game-changer in naval warfare. Defending against a threat you can't see, a weapon that exploits the blind spots in your defenses, it's nearly impossible, a daunting challenge for any military force. The Ekranoplan's real weapon, its most potent advantage, is surprise and the disruption it causes. And it's not just heavily armed warships that are at risk from this unconventional threat. US supply lines, the vital arteries that sustain global operations and project American power, are suddenly vulnerable to a new and unexpected form of attack. A coordinated fleet of Chinese Ekranoplans could, theoretically, isolate forward-deployed forces, starve them of essential supplies, and ultimately paralyze American forces operating in the Pacific region. That's precisely why the Pentagon isn't laughing this off as some far-fetched scenario. They're genuinely worried about the implications, very worried indeed about the future of naval power in a world where surprise is the ultimate weapon. The Ekranoplan isn't just a new weapon, it's a revolution in naval warfare. For decades, carriers ruled the seas, supported by fleets designed to protect them. Now a new piece enters the game, playing by different rules. Imagine a dozen Ekranoplans launching hypersonic missiles from all directions, overwhelming defenses in minutes. The Queen is checkmated. Navies must rethink everything: sensors, defenses, even the size and shape of their fleets. Smaller, faster, more distributed forces may be the future. The Ekranoplan blurs the lines between air, sea and land power. For China, it's the perfect tool for keeping rivals at bay. These machines can turn open ocean into a no-go zone. The battlefield has changed forever. Nowhere is this threat more explosive than the South China Sea. It's a vital shipping lane, claimed by many, but dominated by China's island fortresses. Resupplying these outposts in war would be tough unless you have Ekranoplans. They can ferry troops and supplies in hours, turning isolated islands into a connected, formidable network. This shifts the strategic balance. US power projection suddenly looks shaky if China can move forces anywhere, anytime. An Ekranoplan fleet could launch lightning assaults, presenting a fait accompli before the US can react. Every US patrol becomes riskier. The chance of conflict by accident or design skyrockets. The Ekranoplan isn't just a weapon, it's a tool of coercion. The Powder Keg now has a very fast, unpredictable fuse. We stand at the dawn of a new era in naval warfare. The Ekranoplan, once a Soviet ghost, has been reborn by China. This is no fantasy. The prototypes are real and the stakes are global. The West faces a stark choice: adapt or fall behind. Countering the Sea Dragon will take new tech, new strategies, and a willingness to abandon old doctrines. For now, China leads the race. The future of the Indo-Pacific and global power hangs in the balance. What happens in the South China Sea will shape the century. So, next time you hear about Pacific tensions, remember the monster skimming just above the waves. The story is far from over, and the seas are about to get a lot more interesting.